Hello, hello, and welcome to the How I Grew My Business Livecast. I'm Susie Daphnis. I'm the CEO at HerBusiness, and I'm very excited today to introduce you to a very good friend of mine who's a marketing expert that you may already know about, and three incredible women who have been growing their business steadily over the last couple of years, creating reliable revenue and solid, sustainable businesses. So we're going to be going behind the scenes with them in just a moment. But first, let me go ahead and bring onto the screen Michelle Falzon, who is a dear friend of mine. We're co-conspirators in that we have the Content Sales podcast that we are on together, but also we run the Marketing Success Mastermind program, which we're here to talk about today together as well. Hello, my friend.
Hello, gorgeous one. How are you? Good to be here.
I'm really good. I'm very excited about our panel today, and I'm very excited to be able to share stories of women growing their business. Because here's the thing. Unfortunately, most women-owned businesses never get to the six-figure, let alone the seven-figure level. That's unfortunately the stat. But I know I'm very committed, and I know, Michelle, you support this vision as well, to getting as many women as possible creating sustainable, thriving businesses that give women the impact, the income, and the results that they want. And we're seeing that happening every single day inside the Mastermind program. And so today we wanted to highlight some of those women and the marketing strategies that they're using and exactly what they've done over the last couple of years to really turn their businesses into a direction that they're really happy with. Is there anything you want to say about that before we bring on our guests?
I'm just so excited to talk to these women today because just like you said, they are women that when they joined us had a lot of potential, were perhaps seeing some traction or had opened a door, but needed support, needed help, needed guidance to take their business to the level that it is now. And of course, now they're in momentum. They're just going gangbusters. So I'm really looking forward to talking to them about that because it is inspirational. I know when I see other people doing things that I want to do. So if you're here today listening and tuning in, I know how inspirational it is to meet these wonderful women and to hear their stories because your business may be in the exact same spot. You've got all this potential, you've got all these ideas. Maybe you're a bit overwhelmed because there are too many ideas or you're not quite sure which way to go. This will be really, really helpful. And Susie, we've been doing this mastermind for 5 years. So we've really seen how this rolls out over time when people get that strategic focus.
Yeah, absolutely. And the mastermind, we'll be telling you a little later on about how you can apply because the doors are open. They're open for this week. And we do have a limited number of places available. And so if you're here because you know that the doors are open because you've seen, you've gotten messages from me or from my team or Michelle has let you know that the doors are open, we're going to be telling you how you can go ahead and apply and take one of those coveted spots inside of the mastermind, which is really the most powerful mastermind program for women business owners in Australia. I can say that hands down. So Michelle and I are both big fans of masterminds. Not only do we run this mastermind, but we have also been in masterminds for many, many years. And it is one of our favorite ways to get results in our own businesses. And so we'll talk a little more about that later on as well. Alrighty, let's go ahead and bring on our guests. I'm going to bring them on. I'm going to bring them all at the same time, actually. This is the lovely Tasha Jennings. This is Chantal Gilbert. And this is Amanda Farmer. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'm so excited to have you here, and I know Michelle is too. And we can see your gorgeous faces, but tell us who you are. Tell us about your business and what you do. Tasha, would you kick us off?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm a fertility naturopath, and I help proactive women and couples improve their fertility well-being to create healthy pregnancies and healthy babies through my online one-on-one consultations, Your Fertile Pantry program, and my premium prenatal supplement, Zycia, behind me.
Oh, where? We might need product placement. Right
Zycia
here.
Natal Nutrition.
There it is.
Good product placement. Yeah.
That's very good. I love it. We're all about tooting your horn and letting us know what you're selling. Terrific. Amanda, tell us a little bit about you.
I am a lawyer who helps property owners to demystify the legal complexities of apartment living. And I do that by providing guidance and tools and resources inside my online membership community, which is called Your Strata Property.
Love it. Very, very clear. Totally different niche, right, to what Tasha's in. And again, very, very different type of business, but also another amazing woman business owner who's growing her business is the lovely Chantel Gilbert. Hello, hello.
Hello. My business is Blue Gum Electrical Solutions, and we help families to increase their convenience and comfort in their homes and small businesses through our guaranteed services, including electrical, air conditioning, and solar.
Love it, love it, love it. And Michelle and I have been behind the scenes of these businesses for a few years now because each of you we've known now for a little while, and we want to dig into that a little bit because we've seen those businesses change over time.
We sure have. It's been an inspiration, actually. Each of you have been in the mastermind for a number of years now, and I'm curious how you have grown your business in that time. And maybe you can just give us a quick snapshot for those that are listening. From when you joined Mastermind, what's that journey kind of been like in terms of the growth of your business? And Chantel, I'd love you just to, we were just talking about that trajectory the other day, actually, and some of your figures. Maybe you can share with us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, sure. I can't believe it's been 4 years since I joined. When I first joined Mastermind, I was pregnant with my first son, Max. I think looking at the things, we had one or two other staff members, so a very small team. And, we had low revenue. We were very office heavy, having myself managing the office when it didn't need to be at that point. And since then, we have more than doubled, probably I'd say tripled or quadrupled in those 4 years. And particularly the last financial year, we did actually, I think it was 99% growth we had, which is the most we've had in a long time.
Wow. And Michelle, you mentioned that you had a few staff at the beginning. So how has it looked as far as, premises or staff? Like, where were you and where are you now? What was your role in the business, and has that changed over time?
Yeah, definitely. I still remember we were upstairs in what was to be Max's nursery when I was giving the sales pitch of why I wanted to do the mastermind. We had just moved into our first premises. We'd kind of been given a kick up the bum. We were renting a 4-bedroom home, running our business from the home, and the landlord wanted to move in. So we made the jump. We'd already had our eye on this place, so it didn't take much pressure or much change. And sometimes things just happen for a reason. And we just moved the business into a small warehouse, the smallest warehouse we could find. There was no smaller warehouse available for rent. And it was myself, my husband, we had a family friend coming in to help us, and I think one other apprentice on the cards at that point. Now, sorry.
Go ahead.
Now the good stuff. Since then, 4 years later, one of our biggest dreams is always to purchase our own warehouse. So we have been able to, with some help, buy a warehouse that's nearly 5 times the size of our old warehouse. Yeah. My office is the size that 3 of us used to work in. We have a lot more space and a lot more capacity to grow. We've got great street frontage, and we've got a team of 10.
Very exciting.
That's awesome. And Chantel, you were saying that team because not only you've mentioned some growth in the business, but you've had some massive growth in your family, which you might share for us in just a moment. And what that growth in your team and the growth in your business, I know you've knocked over your first $1 million year, you're in, your second $1 million year and growing. What that's meant is you've been able to go to 4 days a week. And that, I think, must be a big game changer for you as well.
Yeah, definitely. Ultimately, for us, our goal is both Josh and I being 4 days a week. And our big goal for the business is to get it to a point where we can take our family around Australia for the year. So everything we do has been about leveraging our time and putting people in place so that the business isn't dependent on us and that we get to have holidays, and ultimately we can take that year off. And
just for those that are watching, tell us, how many babies have you had since you've been in Mastermind?
3 in 4 years. I recently, feels like recently, but I now have 9-month-old twins as well as Max. So having 3 little ones 4 days a week is a little bit more manageable. And I've never missed a single mastermind session despite having babies throughout the program.
That speaks volumes about how important the mastermind must be, right?
Yeah, well, the twins weren't even 2 weeks old at one of our masterminds.
Yes, I remember.
Online. They joined us online less than 2 weeks old. So that's how important it is.
Yeah, I love it. It's been a wonderful ride watching you grow, and you've just really stepped into that CEO role. And we'll talk a little bit later about some of the strategies that helped you get that really stratospheric growth. And for now, though, I'd love to hear, Tasha, when you joined Mastermind, you told us you were in the red. Tell us about what that journey's been like from that point to here.
Yeah, it was a big leap for me to join. I thought I'd lost money in the business. I had invested in a supplement, which costs a lot to manufacture, TGA legislation. I really just unfortunately dumped a ton of money. I couldn't sell the stock. It's got a use by date. So for me to take the leap to join Mastermind was big one because it was more money. But I knew there were some doors opening, as you kind of hinted at that, and I could see the potential. I didn't know how to capitalize on that. And I think the analogy I would probably use is I've always had the paddle out going as fast as I can. I've always been passionate about my business. It just wasn't loving me back. But now I feel like I'm using that same energy, but I've just got this swell behind me. It's like I'm like on this wave now, and it's just so much easier. Everything feels in flow, whereas that effort just felt like I was turning circles sometimes, and I really was. So yeah, to go from there to now, whereas I really always wanted to and never know if I would be able to replace my corporate salary, which I was on a decent 6-figure salary. I always wanted to be able to, can my business ever make that? And now I can say that I'm doing that and loving it, and that it's still growing, and that just amazes me. I'm so pleased with where I am now, and it's nice to be able to have that passion loving me back. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that analogy too. So cool. Really good. I can see you paddling away, and now you're riding the crest of that wave, and I got this picture of you on this huge wave, just like in Hawaii or something, just riding the wave.
Like that. Yeah. Just having all the tools and the support in here, it just makes things so much easier. It makes my effort more directed because I know what I'm doing. I've got the framework to be able to get there, whereas all the effort was, a lot of mistakes. Yeah, a lot of pedaling around in circles. So, yeah, thank you for getting me on that wave.
Oh, you got yourself on the wave. We just provided an ecosystem for you. And I will talk a bit about some of the specifics about that growth, but, just the high level, how you've been able to go from the business not loving you to really loving you back now is you went from perhaps charging a little, not enough for your one-to-one sessions, but also finding ways to leverage in group programs and online courses. And have they been some of the sort of incremental changes?
Huge. And it was really subtle changes. And I know, most of the time in the group, and I've been here 4 years like Chantel, and you've always said you're not charging enough. And I finally got into a position. It's really funny. I put my prices up. I just chucked $100. Like literally I think it was probably about almost close to doubling anyway. And I got so busy. It was a different mindset. I just was ready. You guys had given me the framework to do it. I had a different mindset about it. And so, and then my consultations blew out. I got so busy with those expensive consultations that I was able to then leverage into the program, which I just did one of the sessions, which has been amazing because it almost feels, I love it. I literally love it. I love getting in with this group of women and helping them. I love seeing their growth. And yet it's bringing me money with something I do for an hour a week on a Thursday. And I just repeat it. It's been really leverageable. So to be able to have both those streams and my prenatal supplement, which is now, recommended by IVF clinics, it's just going gangbusters. I've now got someone doing the distribution instead of me packing and shipping, similar to Chantal when I was packing it literally from my living room and going down the post office. It's now, in a warehouse, it's being packed and shipped, and it's really turning over volumes. I've just reordered, and I actually sold through my current batch of stock in half the time I normally would. And normally I'm worrying about
Fantastic.
use by dates. Normally I'm going, oh my gosh, am I going to fit the use by date? And this time I'm actually well and truly amongst it. So yeah, it's doing really well.
It's amazing, Tasha. So good.
It's so
good.
great. Especially, you know, that whole in the red at the start, which was, you know, you had stock that was expiring and you were losing money on that. And then to go to this point now where you're actually ordering well and truly, you know, before any of that's expiring out. And we've seen the work you've done with strategic alliances, and we'll come back and talk to you about that in a little bit. But so what we've just heard Tasha say there is going from this all one-to-one, but putting the prices up and being more leveraged in that way, but also then a group program, which is what she's talking about doing every Thursday, where she shows up, but she's teaching multiple people at once and really getting leveraged. And speaking of that kind of shift from one-to-one to a more leveraged group program, I want to ask you, Amanda, about your growth since you've joined the mastermind, because I know you came in with a very clear strategic objective around this, not all your income coming from your one-to-one services.
Yes. Well, being a lawyer, the traditional approach is, of course, that we trade our time for money. If I'm not sitting across from somebody at a desk or now on a computer screen and charging my hourly rate, then I'm not making any money. And that's really what I was doing for the first 4 or 5 years or so of my legal practice. And I got to this stage where I thought, hang on, I don't really get this. This is not what I want to be doing or how I want to be doing business for the rest of my career. I love practicing as a lawyer, but that traditional model didn't really fit with me. And it seemed that if I wanted to grow and I wanted to make more money, I'd need to hire more people and have more overhead and get a bigger office. And I wasn't feeling any of that. So I started to tune in to what other businesses were doing. I became a member of HerBusiness. I was listening to the Content Sales podcast and I was getting all these great ideas. And I thought I'll start an online membership. And I kicked that off. And I think I had maybe 10 people inside the membership at the time that I eventually joined the mastermind. And I can say that now I have hundreds of people inside that membership. And I joined the mastermind with this objective of wanting a certain percentage of my business, of my income, 30%. I put a figure on it, 30% of my income to come from non-face-to-face legal services. I wanted that income to come from my online services and my education programs. And the last 12 months, I look back and I'm at 50% of my revenue comes from my online and my education. Yes. And a big part of that has been, again, you mentioned my strategic alliances, and through the strategy work that I've done in the mastermind, having a strategic alliance with local councils across the state and leveraging the education that I do with them through webinars. I'm sitting here in my home office at the moment, and I'm making more money than I ever made in those first few years of business with the one-to-one services. And I have other lawyers coming to me saying, Amanda, how are you doing this? There ain't anybody else doing this. So it's really exciting. And it has just, it's not something that I kind of thought, yeah, I'd love it. I'd love to have that life. And I think it's possible, but I didn't quite know how. And I never expected that it would be this fantastic. So
I love it. I love how you broke the mold of, you know, how lawyers earn money, and that you have people, you know, knocking on your door saying, you know, how are you doing that? But you know, you have a secret weapon that we know about. You are the secret weapon, one. But two, you're doing some things that we're going to be talking about, and we are going to be diving into the marketing strategies that each of these mastermind members is using. And so you definitely want to get behind the scenes, because these sorts of results of doubling, tripling, going way beyond where your revenue was when you were starting out, creating reliable revenue that's there time and time again, going from one to many, all that takes a number of different marketing strategies that we're going to be diving into in just a moment. So the other thing I want to say is, if you're watching and you've got questions for either me or Michelle, but mostly for our masterminders here, go ahead and drop your questions into chat, because we will make time to answer those either in line as the questions come in, or a little later on before we finish up today. So, Michelle, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on with Amanda there before I go on?
No, I'm can't wait to talk a bit more about strategic alliances, but we'll get to that later. I just wanted to say again, I didn't realize you'd hit the 50% mark.
Yes,
We knew
me
that you
either.
were ratcheting it up, but I'm just so incredibly thrilled for
Yeah.
you. I know what a big difference that makes. As you say, you can be sitting there and your business is still generating revenue for you right here, right now. Whereas it used to be you had to sit across somebody at a desk and do billable hours to make money. And if you stop doing that,
Mhm.
the income stopped coming in, and now it just keeps on coming in. I'm just thrilled
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. And, you bring up a really good point, Michelle. And so for so many of us, we get caught in that exchanging time for money. And when we're not working, the business isn't doing any work for us. And yet I know Tasha and Chantel and Amanda have all created a business where they're sleeping and, money could still be coming in the door. And so we're going to be talking about some of those strategies in a moment. And as you heard, all three of our guests here today are part of the Marketing Success Mastermind program, which is open right now for applications. And we only ever open the doors a couple of times a year, just when places are available. And we're literally only taking a handful of women, and we've already had a number of applications this week. So if you would like to apply to be part of the Mastermind program, it is an application process. All you need to do is head on over to HerBusinessMastermind.com. Let me see if I've got that link here. There it is, HerBusinessMastermind.com. There's an application form. You'll also see stories and all the details right there on that page. But when you apply, you set up a time to speak with me and Michelle. And it's a 15-minute conversation. It's not a sales call. It's literally to go through your application and have you be able to determine if this is the right program for you, but for us to also see if you're the right person for the program. Now, you may be more ready than you think. But here's the thing. If you are seeing the growth that's happened in these masterminders and you're thinking, I want some of that for me, I want to accelerate my growth because maybe I'm just starting out in business, but I can see the potential, or maybe I've been in business for a while and now I feel like I'm spinning my wheels a little bit, then you really want to get on that. You want to get on it because we're closing soon. Excuse me. And the type of support that these women get inside of the mastermind, not only from me and Michelle, but from the other masterminders, has certainly been part of their success. And we'll talk a little more about that later on. But for now, go ahead and head on over to HerBusinessMastermind.com. Even if you're just curious and you think, I don't know, this sounds really good, then you want to go ahead and do that. All righty. Excuse me while I cough. All right. Goodness, I don't know what that is about. Now, we promised to talk to you about marketing strategies, and this, of course, is the big kahuna, because this is a marketing success mastermind, and it really is about using marketing to really boost your sales, to boost your impact, to reach more people, to go from one-to-one to one-to-many, to leverage your time and energy to grow a sustainable business, all those things. So we would love to know what have been some of your most successful marketing strategies to date. And Tasha, let's start with you.
Well, I was just thinking that then as you were saying it. And I think my other big problem when I first invested in stock, I'd come from a background, creating a vitamin range for a big pharma company, a weight loss program, was ads. You do big paid ads. So I invested in ads, and starting to invest. I'm going to invest in ads now for my program because I'm so confident in it. But I haven't invested in ads since joining the program because I haven't needed to. Because I've made so many amazing strategic alliances. I've got my podcast. I'm getting invited to speaking opportunities. I've really leveraged all those aspects that really have done my business more of a service than a paid ad would do. Right. So I've just made amazing connections with IVF clinics. I spoke at the Fertility Nurses of Australasia conference, which those connections, they're almost money can't buy. And the fact that you're on the stage. So how, with the frameworks that I've been given in the mastermind to be able to make those connections, has really, really obviously leveraged my business from a point where I couldn't invest in advertising because I couldn't afford to. But now we're leveraging it so that I can utilize those and now, I guess, make wise investments in growing what I already know is a working model.
Right. You've got a formula that's already working. And, if we think about a traditional naturopath, they usually have a clinic and someone will go there, which kind of keeps their business contained usually to a physical location. And while that can be a profitable business, what you've been doing is you're growing a business where you can serve women who need fertility help, whether they're in urban, regional, rural cities, anywhere around the country and probably increasingly the world. And you've got a podcast, as you mentioned. You're also using social media. And so, again, you've gone down a different route than perhaps what most people would think. Tell us a little bit about how you're leveraging social media.
Yeah, so probably similar to Amanda. I'm probably the classic naturopath who sits across the table to people. And it was weird. Even when I did my course, it was not where I probably wanted to be. I love doing it, but I do love reaching more people, and social media has been great for that. So I've actually, similar to with my podcast, I found that I love research. I'm a bit of a nerd. I love PubMed. I love researching for my product, understanding all the benefits of the nutrients. And I found these amazing researchers. And so I reached out to people from Italy to New York, some of these researchers. So I'm like, hey, I love what you're doing. Do you want to be interviewed? Do you want me to interview you? And so that went from turned into the podcast, which I did all myself, just in the back end editing, and now I get it done. But then I did Insta Lives, and they've been fantastic. And now I'm able to, now that I've got a backlog of really renowned, Cornell University in New York, some really amazing people from the UK, some really renowned people, I'm really able to get other people who have massive audiences. I'm amazed at the guests who I reach out to and they go, yeah, great. When can we set up the interview time? Fantastic. That shows me to their audience and has really leveraged my business in a way, leveraged all of the products that I do without me spending any money, and would be better than me spending big money on a TV ad where I'm competing with, some of the big gun pharma companies, particularly in relation to my product. It's a much better vehicle, and it's been free. And yeah.
I love it. And like you said, now you've got a system that works. Now you can pay for additional eyeballs to go through the system that you've already created. There's something you mentioned a little earlier that I wanted to pick up on as well, is that when you came into the mastermind, you were doing one-on-one consulting. And while that was lucrative, it was taking up a whole lot of your time, and you're working late into the evenings during family time, and you were always booked out. And so you increased your prices and kind of nothing changed. You were still booked out, even more so because your popularity has gone up. But then you decided that you would try going from one to many. So tell me, or did that feel risky? Did you have hesitation when you decided to go from a traditional naturopath fertility consultation to doing an online course?
I had lots of hesitation. As we know, it was my 2-year project. I think I just kept saying, I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it. I think you guys were like, when are you going to do it? Because I just felt like I needed to have things perfect. I felt like I couldn't get the framework in my head. So I think there was one mastermind where I'm just like, you know what? I'm putting it out there. And I think I put even the date in the ad, and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to do it. And that forced me to just get that first one rolling, which was great, because I had like 10 women. I didn't do any advertising, just who would like to be in this. And it really, I loved it. I loved it so much. I could get the feedback from them. I could see what resonated. I've actually changed a couple of my lessons around since then, because I realized, week 6 would be better in week 3, made some adjustments. And now I said I'm confident in the ad spend because I know exactly what works. So there was a big hesitation in going online and going in a group program. I'm like, is this going to resonate? Am I going to get as much traction and information across to people? But it really has. It's given me a different vehicle, and it's really fed both paths. Weirdly enough, some of my patients join my program just because they want to see me each week and get some more, menu plans and things, and vice versa. I now have a step 2 where people then can see me personally for that higher price, and I have a lot of conversions to that as well, which has been good.
And so even though you hesitated, even though you said it was a 2-year project, you kind of kept putting it off, you were inside the mastermind this whole time. I know that when the time came and you made that commitment and you put that date on the calendar, you really lent into the resources and support inside the mastermind to ask all the questions, to figure out, well, how many lessons and how long should they be and what goes on my landing page, et cetera, et cetera. You did the work, but you were also really great in saying, you know what? I don't know. Just help me. Which was very, very powerful.
Absolutely. I love the Facebook group for that. I'm always in there. And especially I am a last minute. Oh my gosh, I'm doing this tomorrow. Guys, what do you think? What this picture or this picture? Or what? And I just love that I just get instant feedback. Yes, no, yes, change this. And those little changes that you get feedback from you guys, but also from the whole group, really just makes such a difference. And or it's something that's so simple that I'm like, okay, I'm just really struggling with this headline. I know this isn't right, but and then you get ideas back, and it just really helps to get you back in flow too when you have become stuck working on your own. The ideas have stopped flowing. You need to do this, and just to be able to get that immediate feedback from people who love your business, really want you to succeed, and can just give you that little nudge. It just makes all the difference.
Thanks, Tasha. Amanda, we heard earlier you had a very clear vision. You wanted 30% of your revenue to come from not sitting across the table. You had a clear vision, and you had some assets already. So you already did a little bit of public speaking. You had your consulting services. You had the podcast. You started on the membership. Tell us a little bit about the marketing strategies that have been most powerful for you in growing the membership, growing your income, getting to this 50% of your income now coming from a source that's not directly related to your butt being on a seat.
Yes. Well, I mentioned earlier my strategic alliances with local councils, and I'm happy to come back to that. But what I would really love to share is the success that I've had with webinars, because that is something that I was very scared of when I started 2 years ago. I think I did my first webinar, and this mastermind pushed me to do my first webinar. I remember in one of our quarterly meetups, we set a date. Amanda is going to do a webinar. It's going to be on this. I felt completely sick about it. But I said, look, I've made this commitment to the mastermind. I'm going to do a webinar, and it's going to be a sales webinar. I am going to sell memberships at the end of this webinar. And I set out my plan. I put my plan in the group and fine-tune that, and I delivered my first webinar 2 years ago. And I think off that webinar I sold about 70 memberships, which was more than I'd ever sold in the 2 or 3 years that I'd had the membership going. So since then I developed then the framework for webinars that I have now been rolling out almost every month, doing webinars which are launching pads to membership. And over time, exactly what Tasha's been doing, because I took that scary leap of starting, I've got somewhere to tweak, somewhere to get better. And just yesterday, I delivered a webinar using a different strategy that we'd learned in the mastermind. And I'd got some one-on-one help from Michelle on that. And I had watched Chantel deliver webinars with exactly that same strategy, and I'm in sales period at the moment. And I'm already seeing better results because of just this fine tuning that I've done and this implementing this new strategy that we learned inside the mastermind. So I've been able to use webinars to sell memberships, which is something that once again I can just do here to many hundreds of people signing on for the webinar. But I've also then be able to offer that to my strategic alliances. So the work that I do with local councils, we do a lot of education for people who live in apartments. And all throughout 2020, I couldn't get in a room and stand up in front of people and deliver education because we weren't allowed to. So the councils were saying to me, Amanda, we really want you to do this. We are completely not set up to do webinars. We don't even have Zoom. Some councils are not allowed to use Zoom. So I was able to say, oh, I can absolutely handle all that for you. Happy doing a webinar for you. Here's the platform. Here's how we do it. Let me take it away. I'm being paid by councils now to deliver webinars, and they're letting me sell my membership on the webinar. It's just, and that's how I can get to that 50% of my revenue comes from non-traditional legal services.
And, I just want to highlight a couple of things you said. Firstly, congratulations, because it's all incredible. And again, using webinars to sell a non-traditional kind of product that's not typically sold in webinars. In a moment, we're going to hear how Chantel's using webinars as well. But one, doing that. Two, adding to that the strategic alliances that you've diligently been building and being a godsend for them, because they want to offer the education, but they don't know how to do it. They can't install Zoom. And here you come along and it's already out of the box. Here you go. I know it's going to work for your ideal clients. You're giving generously. And then in return, you're also able to promote your services. And that is just smart marketing. And I want to say about that, I noticed something that you posted in the group today, and I don't have it even as an image to show everybody. I heard that someone had said to you, who does your marketing? Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So as I said, I'm in a sales period at the moment. I've had quite a few emails going out directing people to a webinar I delivered yesterday. And someone who is in quite a well-recognized position in a well-recognized agency dropped me an email and said, hey, Amanda, random question, just checking in. Who does your digital marketing? And I wrote back and I said, you're looking at her, you're reading her email. I said, I have a web developer and I have a podcast editor, but if you're talking about my content, my strategy, it's all me. And she wrote back and said, oh, that's fantastic. I so admire you. I'm a little bit disappointed that I can't hire the person who helps you. And I'm thinking, you can't afford me, babe. You can't afford me.
You can't afford me. Hey, well, I've got a URL you can give them, HerBusinessMastermind.com.
Yep.
But that is great. That is great, right? You're a lawyer. You're smart, obviously. And now you're an incredible marketer, and you're putting in place these incredible marketing strategies, because as business owners, marketing is one of the hats that we definitely want to wear long enough to get it right. We know our messaging. We know our ideal client. We can empathize most. We're the best spokesperson. Then once we've got it off and running, then we can have people producing pieces or doing elements of it. But getting educated as marketers, it's definitely not something you want to throw a whole lot of money at an agency and say, do my marketing, and not put yourself in it and actually be skilled at the level that all three of you are.
And I can say now, with the skills that I've learned and the knowledge I have through the mastermind, when I do see professional marketing agencies and marketers doing things that I just know are not going to go anywhere or get any traction, and somebody's paying them to do that, it breaks my heart. And I think, no, stop, go back, wrong way.
Turn back. Thanks, Amanda. So Chantel, now you are in the tradies business. You have guys in trucks installing solar, air conditioning, heating, all those things. But your marketing is so different to what the typical tradie company is doing. So tell us about some of the marketing strategies that have been part of your incredible growth that you talked about earlier.
I think really everything changed for us once we created this event for solar. And I still remember Josh telling me he wanted to expand into solar. And I still remember saying to him, no, we'll just stick to what we're good at. But I did listen in the end. It all started at a sustainability festival. There was a local sustainability festival, and we put our hand up to have a stall, just a small, same sort of size as a small farmer's market. And this lady called me, she said, I got your application. It's like $100 for the day, She said, do you want to do a workshop? It's like, what do you mean, do I want to do a workshop? She said, well, you can do a workshop for 40 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay. And we just had Victoria speak to us about risking forward in the mastermind. And I was like, well, I'm just going to say yes. I don't know where this is going to lead. I have no idea what the hell I'm going to talk about for 40 minutes, but I'm just going to say yes. And if I can't work it out, then I guess I'll say no later. This presentation, which is now our webinar strategy. And it was March 2019, and I still remember how nervous I was. We had a room full too, because the Sustainability Festival promoted it, so I didn't even have to market it. And the people loved it. There was one other person talking from a solar company before me, and all these people came up to me afterwards and said, oh, this was so much better. It was not salesy. I learned so much. All these people booked in quotes, and I didn't really have a call to action. I remember at the end of the session going, oh, by the way, if you want a solar quote, here's this form I forgot to tell you about. It was very much like that. And the worst part is I then did nothing. For 3 or 4 months, I did nothing. This worked so well. Everyone loved it, and I did nothing. And something I've since learned, thanks to the mastermind, is to leverage what works and stop chasing new things. So I finally decided to do it again on my own. And we had this beautiful venue, only 5 minutes down the road for me. Again, only cost $100 to hire. And we put it on again, and we got 55 people registered. And I nearly died. And then heaps of people showed up. The room was full, and we did it again, presenting it full control in-house. And the same thing happened. All these people booked in solar consults and all these people went on to buy solar. And we realized that there's a secret sauce in getting people educated and helping them get the right solar. And part of it was I love doing it. I love sharing the information, and I really do feel that it's a niche skill that I have now to help people understand it that doesn't come from a tradie, but does come from a level of expertise. So now we run our event, which is called Installing Solar, the Real Secret to a Zero Electricity Bill, a name that Michelle coined for me. We run it as a webinar, both evergreen and as a live webinar, and we will in the future run it as a live event again. And it's developed each time we've done it. I think we've done it over 10 times in some format, in different formats. Each time we do it better, but we've got I still remember when we did webinars for one of the masterminds, and I remember thinking I'd like to do it, but I have no idea how on earth I could ever do a webinar as a trade business. And
look at you now. And you didn't have to initially, right? Because you were doing live events. But then COVID hit, and it was either do nothing and stall all the solar sales, or really quickly pivot, take the knowledge that you had, dive in further, get some more distinctions, different models, different ways of doing the webinar, looking at your platforms and then running the webinar. And interestingly, and for anyone watching, if you've ever installed solar, this is not an inexpensive purchase. This is a 5-figure purchase in most cases. Would that be right?
Average our client spend is 10 grand.
Right. And so this is a significant sale off the back of a free webinar or in-person event. And so Chantel's process is come to the webinar, they get a whole lot of information so that they can make decisions about solar or not. And then she offers them a consultation to talk further about it. And then she's converting a ton of those people into paying clients, right? That's why she now has more staff. She has more vans on the road. And because she's got 3 bubbers, all under 3, I expect. Is that right?
3 and under,
Yeah. So what if she didn't have to deliver a live webinar every month? What if she could make that evergreen, which means that I could go on at any point in time, choose a date and time, and watch Chantel in real time, but she's not really there, and still book my consultation and still end up being a customer. And so this has been the transition, which I have just loved seeing. And now not only do you do webinars, but you're helping other members in the mastermind on how to do their webinars, which is fantastic. Oh yeah, Amanda's pointing at herself
like me.
Thank you and congratulations. Just amazing, Chantel.
Thank you. I think one of the things that's really helped me do is my job is to make sure that when we get to the sale point that we don't have to be salesy, because we've already done so much work at the front of the sale that the sale comes easily, and then it doesn't have to be Josh doing the sale. The rest of our team can step into.
That is really wise. Thank you.
I think that's such an important point. I'll speak to that as well, because I'm noticing in my course now, because I know my step 2 so well, I'm already having people ask for it. I got 2 just this morning. It's like, so by the way, what can we, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're already, as you said, we've already known how to seed the sale so well that people, it's an easy sale at the end. It's not salesy.
Yeah. Love it. Love it.
And, that is so much about what we talk about in the mastermind. And it's about really being clear on ultimately what you're selling, who you're offering it to, and then building a journey for them to take. And really not just thinking, a lot of people think, I just need more leads, and I'm thinking about you, Tasha. You said, I haven't had to advertise, but it's because you've made the most of the leads you have, because you have a process, you've been really deliberate. And that's something that we talk a lot about in the mastermind, and it works whether you're selling supplements or you're selling solar or you're selling legal advice or services. It's the same principle, and that's why I think it works, because there's this core piece of knowledge that most business owners don't have about how to make the most of their leads, how to get people wanting to buy from them even before they've asked for the sale. And I wanted to talk to we've got a comment from Amanda Paris there, Susie. Sounds amazing.
I just popped that up there. I know. I missed when that came in, Amanda, but thank you so much. So, it is. It's also inspiring. The results the women are getting in the mastermind are so, so inspiring. Michelle and I are blown away every single day by their commitment to their business and their commitment to just implementing what they're learning and doing the work. Yeah, Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. I wanted to ask a little bit about, speaking of the mastermind, and we've been hearing about how you've grown your business, some of the strategies you've used. We've been talking a bit about the mastermind. I'd love to focus in on a bit more specifically on the mastermind and what your biggest benefits have been in, what you've learned, some of the things that have really helped you and supported you. Amanda, one thing I wanted to ask you about, I'd love to know just what your thoughts are, what the biggest benefit is. But one thing in particular that I wanted to sort of tease out of what you said earlier was, you talked about the sales webinar and how you said, it's going to be a sales webinar. And I wanted to just clarify for people that are listening, because I hear people all the time say, oh, I'm doing webinars. And then I look at what they're doing, and they are, say it's a 60-minute webinar. They are doing 59 and a half minutes of cramming a lot of information at people, and then 30 seconds at the end going, oh, and here's my link, maybe you can buy my thing. And it's such a big mistake. And yet, like Chantel said, we don't want to be salesy. None of us want to be that high pressure, gold tooth, salesy, schmarmy person. So how do we do a sales webinar that feels so great, that actually feels like we're giving, that feels like people just want to buy from us at the end without the high pressure? I'd love you to speak to that, and how perhaps that was sort of how you came to that through the work you did in the mastermind.
Well, when I first started doing webinars, I had learned through listening to content sales podcasts all about webinars, and some of the early work we did in the mastermind about webinars, that there was a strategy. This stuff doesn't just, you're not born with it. You don't come out of the womb knowing how to do a webinar. There is actually a process to follow. And I got great comfort from that, from following the process, from ticking the boxes. Just do what you're told and you'll be okay. And that helped. It helped to feel less uncomfortable about asking for the sale. But there is what I've done more recently, the webinar that I did yesterday, and changing my strategy a little bit. I think I said earlier, I've never been more comfortable than when I was yesterday with this strategy. And I think that's because we learn in the mastermind from others and from each other. And you, Michelle and Susie, bring to us what you're learning in your amazing masterminds in the US or in Canada, and amazing people who are running webinars and selling really high ticket items. And it works for them, and people are loving it, and they are buying it, and they need whatever that product is. And I think that then gives you the confidence to say, I'm doing this right. I'm doing the right thing. There are people out there who want to be helped by what I have to give, and by me. Who am I not to tell them how to get this thing that they need? And I think the more we see that, and the more we hear that, and the more we see other women in this mastermind group doing that and having great success, seeing Tasha, people just begging for that product, and seeing what Chantel's doing with her webinar, it just makes me feel so much more comfortable and confident. And I know Chantel's put her webinar script into the mastermind, and we've been able to go in there and tweak it, and then then when you're sitting there delivering this, you've practiced it, you put it in the mastermind, it's been tried and tested, so it is right, it is what you need to be doing. So with all of that, then the webinar is a lovely place to be.
I love that, the comfortable and the confident around making an offer. And I mean, I just get goosey. And Susie, I know this is so powerful and important for you too, that too many business owners are hiding their brilliance under a bushel, and they don't know how to make an offer. They feel uncomfortable. They feel they lack confidence. They don't know what are the 5 steps that you were just talking about there, Amanda. How do I put this webinar together? At what point do I ask for the sale? And like, we've been able to give frameworks that says, first do this, second do that, third do that, like literally, and then to review it. So I love hearing that, Amanda. And if anyone's listening and thinking, I feel uncomfortable when I ask for the sale, it's not unusual. That's quite normal, that most people feel that way. And it's not till you can make this shift to really feeling like you're serving people, having a process, knowing that it works, and that confidence and comfort kind of follows on naturally. So I love that. Was there anything else you wanted to say about any benefits from the mastermind other than that specific one that I was referring to, Amanda?
Yeah, something that maybe I didn't expect is how much I would love and connect with and come to look forward to these beautiful women who I have become such great friends with. And our quarterly get-togethers are absolutely the highlights of my year. And Chantel said she was there with her 2-week-old babies, wouldn't miss them for all the world. I think you reach a stage, particularly as a woman in business, where even when business is going really well, it's hard to share that with, say, your husband or your best friend or your mom. They don't really get it the way that other women business owners do. So, I could be saying, I've got a 70% show up rate to my webinar and I got a 20% conversion and I just got 1,000 leads from this lead magnet. And my husband's going, that's nice, honey. But when I say that in the mastermind, you all go, oh my God, yeah, we thought that's fantastic. And hey, can we do better? How do we stretch you even further to a place you never even thought was possible? So having that support, women who become great friends and also are great cheerleaders and inspirations, that's not something that I came in expecting. And it is absolutely one of the biggest benefits of the mastermind to me.
Thanks.
I love it. And it's that mastermind framework that Susie and I are so passionate about, because it's not a course. It's not, we are all bringing our brilliance collectively, and that rising tide lifts all boats. It's really lovely to hear that. And watching the connections everybody makes. I mean, I know it's absolutely so true. Okay, so I wanted to also ask the same question of you, Chantel. So what have been some of the benefits from being in Mastermind? One that I particularly wanted to pick up on was something you said earlier about taking risks. And you said you heard from one of our, Susie and I bring our friends, our peers, our colleagues to the Mastermind, and we share them with our Masterminders. And because our network want to really deliver, they provide a whole lot of background, a whole lot of insight that they wouldn't necessarily share elsewhere. But inside this mastermind, our masterminders get all the juicy goodness. And Victoria Labalm was one of our guest speakers. She's a Wall Street Journal bestseller. She's a Speaker Hall of Fame in the US. And she has put out a book called Risking Forward. And Chantel, maybe you can just talk a little bit more about what that taking risks has meant, that benefit, and then any other benefits you want to share about being in the mastermind.
Yeah, definitely. The risking forward, I think, for me is all about, it can be the idea that leads to the idea. And I really do think that if you want to join something like the mastermind, you have to be open, and you can't, often you've taught us, you've trained us well, not to say, yeah, but. And risking forward is you will not have all the solutions at once. And I definitely think the mastermind is a compounding effect. So I've definitely seen my results skyrocket in the 3rd and 4th year that I've been there. It's not something you get the same return on investment each year for. The longer you stay and the more effort and work you put on, it compounds. And this risking forward of just going, I have this feeling that this is the right thing, or that this could be something for me, but I don't know what's on the other side. But sometimes half the other masterminders do. They know exactly what is on the other side of that idea, and they know exactly where you're going, even if you can't see it. And they're there to hold your hand, which is so good. And definitely, like Amanda said, the support and friendships has been unbelievable. But that sort of contributes to a real mindset benefit of just having all these people around you who genuinely believe that you can do more than even you think you can do. And that makes a huge difference to the goals that you go after, and the way you present in business. Even as simple as, my time with Fiona has really helped me act more like the CEO and step up and be that person, because I see other people doing it. Just the other day, Tracy listed herself as the CEO, and then for the first time ever, I was filling out a grant application. I was like, I'm not going to go with general manager this time. I'm going CEO. And it was all because Tracy did it first. So, and sometimes it definitely feels like there is all these intangible benefits to the mastermind that you couldn't list on a sales page, that you couldn't describe, that are sometimes these small breakthrough. Just the one idea of me saying yes to the workshop has resulted, we did the numbers the other day, in over $400,000 in revenue for our business, just by saying yes to that workshop, which I would have never done if I wasn't in the mastermind.
It's such a profound point you're making about risking forward, even when you're not sure, even when it's just the seed of an idea. And that's the perfect example right there, Chantel, that you did something, and you even said, like, I kind of forgot to put out the order form at the end, but it didn't matter because you had put yourself in the stream. You were in the river, you were in the flow, and then you took another few months before you went, hey, why don't I do this again? And I remember being on a strategy call with you saying, even after that first one you did on your own terms, okay, now what's your next date? When are you going to do this again? And why don't you do it monthly? And that's exactly what you did for a period of time before you couldn't do live events anymore. So it's such a great point. We begin everything imperfectly, and then with the support and the right people around us, we can achieve anything. So I love that. And Tasha, I wanted to ask you what was something for you that was a benefit of being in the mastermind, something you could crystallize for us?
Well, I definitely think it's the intangibles. I'll ditto to both Amanda and Chantel. The friendships are amazing. How you choose these amazing women. If you're lucky enough to get in this group, you are an amazing woman. They are just so generous. So getting behind you, there's no jealousy, everyone's happy for you. You can share your wins, you can share your losses with the same, and you'll get the same empathy, the same feedback from these amazing women who really just want you to succeed. And to stretch you that bit further. I know when you said, Amanda, okay, then what's next? That little bit further. And I remember being on a strategy call with you guys when I was sorting out my program and my Your Fertile Pantry program. I was getting, and you go, okay, what's your step 2? And I'm like, sorry, well, I'm here. Like, well, wait, what? And I'm like, of course, it needs to be a step 2, which has been so beneficial. And I know literally, I think I had my last call for my program, like the day after that strategy session, she like whipped something together. We just brainstormed a few things, and that was $3,000 the next day that I would just have gone, okay, bye, thanks for the course. And so it's those little things that I think you can't even list. I mean, I can list so many, but to me, it's more the feelings, those connections, the pushing me further than I even, my goal was here. And now it's just the bar's gone past where I thought I needed to be. You've really raised the bar. You've just put us amongst this amazing group of women that you're in for life. I think once you're in here, you don't want to leave.
You make some really, 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 really good points. And the thing is, you're in momentum. When you're in momentum, it's like that old saying that it's really hard to steer a parked car. And if you're a parked car, you are stuck where you are. You have no momentum. You're trying to do the same thing over and over again and not moving. But the moment you get into momentum, joining the mastermind, then you can steer that car wherever you want it to go. And, sometimes it's a little banking to the left, a little banking to the right. Sometimes it's a little wobbly, but you get the support and you get the guidance and you can really be on your way. And you mentioned a couple of names have popped up that I wanted to mention. And one was Fiona Keary. We'll talk about her a little later on. She's a stylist who similarly has tripled, I think, her business in the time she's been in Mastermind. But what I wanted to say about that is that, she, like you, Tasha, came in and she had a goal to go here. But now that you see what you can create, now that you can see what's possible for your business, like you said, the goal was here, but now it's like, well, I'm already there. Now where can I take it? And I know Fiona was sharing similarly, and I'm sure it's the same for you, Chantel, and Amanda too. You got to where you sort of envisioned, but now you can just see that there's so much more to do, and you're just so much more talented, smarter, better skilled, more focused, more clarity, more on purpose, more supported to take those directions. So I can't wait to talk to you in another year from now and see what the benefits and wins are that you've had sort of at that point. All righty. So if you are watching, thank you so much for being here. I am loving hearing these stories, and I hope that you are enjoying them too. And you might be having questions like, oh, I've got some concerns, or what are some of the obstacles, or what if this, or what if that? If you've got questions along the way, go ahead and ask them. Because what we're going to do is we're going to be asking that question to our masterminders in just a moment, talking about what some of their concerns were coming into the mastermind program. right at that point where they were trying to make the decision, because the mastermind is not for everybody. It is a time commitment. It is a money commitment. It is a headspace commitment. It is a commitment to going from here to there. And so we're going to be talking about some of those obstacles. But before we do that, I do want to remind you that the Marketing Success Mastermind is open now for applications. They're only open for a few days. And in fact, Sunday, the early bird pricing ends. And if at that point we have any more spaces available and we are only taking a handful of people, then the pricing does go up, but you can still apply. But if you want the early bird pricing and you really want to nab one of the less 5, I think, places that we have, then you definitely want to go ahead and apply. Because if you are stuck and you want to get into momentum, if you are in overwhelm and you really want the support to really have clarity and focus around the direction you're taking, then you really want to get in, because we only open the doors a couple of times a year and only when there are places available. Because one thing is knowing the theory, and you can Google to your heart's content, marketing strategies, etc. Chantel's laughing, but that ain't going to do it. I can tell you that ain't going to do it. You might make a little bit of progress, but without the structure that is a like-minded group of business owners who are also trying these different things, who you can brainstorm with, mentors like me and Michelle who have been doing marketing collectively for over 45 years, not individually, because that would make us much older than we are. Then you want to go ahead, and I'll just pop the URL right here. It's it's really simple, HerBusinessMastermind.com. There's a simple application form. It'll take you probably about 10 minutes to complete. And at the end of the application form, it'll say, hey, book a date and time to speak to Susie and Michelle. And Michelle and I will get on a call with you and we'll go through your application. And at that point, and like not everyone does get through, but let us make that decision together. If this is something that you're yearning for, if you are curious, if you're thinking, you know what, all that's standing between me and saying yes to joining the mastermind is fear. If that's what's going on right now, I really want you to go to that URL. I really want you to fill out that form, because that is your intuition speaking to you. If the mastermind's not right for you, we're not going to let you go ahead. If the mastermind is not within your reach right now, maybe it will be a later time. But if you're feeling like, I'm really resonating with this, I really want to take that step, then you want to do it. Amanda says, it's been wonderful hearing all this, and I'm even more determined to apply for this mastermind since my business is a bit more grown up. Well, Amanda, I know what your business is. I know that the business that you are doing already with members inside the HerBusiness community. And I know that your business, just calling you out here, Amanda, I know that your business is not scalable the way it is at the moment. It's still very one-to-one, but you're doing incredible work. And I've seen members shouting out your name and saying what incredible work you're doing. So I would love to see you take that business, really look at what your vision is, and really go for creating that vision, right? Doesn't have to be more grown up. We've had women who joined the mastermind, and you guys can back me up, who were very fresh in business, but they knew enough to know that there was a high potential in their business. They knew enough.
I'm so grateful to be let in. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a business that's failing. Like, surely. So yeah, I'm sure your business is more grown up than mine was at the time I joined. But I think if you've got passion, potential, and some sort of business aim and goal, then yeah, this can drive it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, right. And so Tasha was very new. She knew she wanted to replace that corporate salary. She knew that. She knew she was already seeing a lot of clients, but a lot of that other growth has been the work that she's done since being in the mastermind and having the support and the encouragement and that little nudge in the push of your back.
Yes.
The love to say, we know you've got this. We know that you can totally do this. So go ahead and do that. Jackie says, this Livecast has been excellent. Thank you for sharing your real journeys and reframing sales as serving. So good. Yeah, absolutely, Jackie. So good. All righty. So I'm sure Michelle will be back in just a moment. In the meantime, I want to go ahead and talk about the concerns, the mistake you might have thought you were making, any big obstacles that were in your way that you had to overcome in order to make the decision to serve yourself in this way. Because one of the things I'm very big on, and you know that, but maybe those who are watching don't know, is about being generous with yourself. Because the person we want to be most generous with is ourselves. And doing two things: one, really supporting our own dreams, and two, surrounding ourselves with people who see more in us than we do. So let's talk about these obstacles and concerns. Tasha, I'm going to come back to you. What were the things that you were like, I don't know?
There's a lot of those. I had 2 young kids both younger than primary school age. So I was looking after them full time. I was doing this. As I said to my husband, I feel like I'm doing everything badly. My business was losing money. I felt like I was taking time away from the kids to be able to even invest in my business. But I knew I wanted this. I knew I had to have this on the side. And so taking the step to spend that amount of money on myself and invest in this time really felt huge, I have to say. And it was about that risking forward that you were talking about, Chantal. I just had this gut feeling. I think all the best things in my life have kind of stemmed from that, you know what, this just feels right. I know on paper it probably is not, but it feels like the right step to take. And so I sat down with my husband and put my pitch forward, and he sort of went, "You're not asking me, are you?" And you're telling me. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of telling you. This is what I'm doing. Yeah.
But your commitment was probably, is what got you there. Like he was just a sounding board,
Absolutely. I was more just talking out the things, and then I knew I wanted to join. I knew there was this gut feeling, and I'm so glad I did. There's been hesitation a lot along the way, but as Chantal said, even like the first year or now the second year, it's not a big investment. But now I'm like, no, this is it. I'm in. Like now it just compounds. It's not like you get this same return on investment. You get more and more and more the longer you're in there. I think there's very few things that you can invest in for yourself that you can say that about.
Yeah, I agree. The current mastermind I'm in my 4th year, and every year it gets better. Every year it gets better. But it's always a big leap to put that money down, to put the time down, if there's travel, accommodation, all those extra costs as well. Chantal, what about you? What were the obstacles that were in your way? I mean, you were a little pregnant, but I don't know if that was an obstacle.
I think for me, it was convincing my husband. And the business was always like, we both started the business full time, 100% together, and we knew we wanted to take it somewhere far. And I came from a business background. I had a business degree, but I had no experience. So I had done this business degree. I was fresh out of my business degree when we started the business. And I just felt like I had taken it as far as I could with what I knew. But I am a sucker. I'm the person who cries in the movies, who is easily sold. So my husband is a little bit wary of me wanting to do things and spend money. He also calls me out. He also thinks I like to outsource everything, which I have tried to explain to him is a CEO's job. So it was like a tug of war. And I think what happened in the end is he just gave up. Like, he never really jumped on board. He really just gave up. He's like, but you're pregnant, and for me it was also about how am I going to get to Sydney? Like, I've got this, I don't know what it's like having a baby at this point. How am I going to travel to Sydney? And at this point, I think we only had a part-time person helping us. I'm not even sure if we had that in the office. So if I went to Sydney, who was going to run the office? Who was going to answer the phone? Who was going to look after my child? All those things. But I think for me, it was about Susie and Michelle. And I just knew that if I could get more of you guys, like if I could spend some more time with you, that was going to be huge for me. And I'd always been very good at investing in myself. And before the mastermind, I was going, like when I mean investing, like learning, I was going to every council workshop there was. And I think back on it and I think I was nuts. I can't even believe I did it. I was like in the corner in the back room sometimes, squatting down on my headset, taking a call and booking someone in the back of a workshop because I was so determined to get as much information as I could. Now I'm in the mastermind. I do none of that. All the information, inspiration, education I get is in the mastermind and her business, and it saves me so much time. And somebody said to me, I think it was maybe 12 months before I joined the mastermind, if you're going to take the train and you're running late or you're just going to take the train, you've got 2 hours to get there and you don't know where the train station is, well, you'll wander around Melbourne and you'll eventually find Southern Cross. But if you're going to take the train, you've got 5 minutes and you can't find it, you will ask. And putting your hand up to be in the mastermind is asking. And it's much nicer to get there quicker than to struggle on your own for years and years. So I'm so glad I joined when I did.
I love that. And I love that analogy as well about, getting there faster, because we can get to our destination any which way. It's just if you want to fast track it. Now, I assume Josh is now on side.
Yeah, he says to me sometimes, I would be talking about something and he says to me, have you told Susie and PJ that? And he's like, you should really tell them that. So he is 100% on board. He accredits I would say 100% of our success and everything we do to the mastermind. And that's why I've been able to keep coming and keep doing it. Like he will take days off if need be for me to be there, because he knows how important and what a critical part of our success it's been.
Well, and you have been, because you are the one that's taking advantage of what's available to you. You know what I mean? It's not a silver bullet, right? We all know that.
No.
You've done a lot. You've all done a lot of work in the background to get the results you have. We provide, the container and the context and the guidance and all those things. Thank you. And now, Amanda, you're a fierce, bold, very determined woman. We all know that, right? Everyone's laughing because they know I'm telling the truth. Was there anything that was something for you to get over to make the decision to join Mastermind? Yeah, what?
Yeah. Well, at the time I had a busy legal practice. And as I've talked about, that was a lot of my time and my one-on-one time. And I thought, I'm going to make this big investment. And it was still a big investment for me at that stage. And am I going to have the time to implement all of this? Like Chantel, I was always trying to learn as much as I could. And I was concerned that, that we've got quarterly meetups and we've got a group and we've got calls and there'll be a lot of things that this group will want me to do. And will I be able to make that commitment so that it's worth it, so that expense is worth it? And two things. I found that being in the mastermind, the way that it is set up absolutely makes you accountable, that you want to be doing these things. We have our weekly check-ins. We make 90-day plans. We don't want to let down our friends in the mastermind when we turn up to the next catch-up. We want to say, this is what I've done. This is what I haven't done sometimes. But that helps to keep you on track. But perhaps more importantly, you actually find, and you find this, I think, in the first year that you join, you start to realize all of the things that you're doing that you just don't need to be doing, that you are actually, you can cut out a lot of stuff, whether it's by hiring that person you didn't think you could hire, or the outsourcing, or the, you know what, I'm doing that and that's not actually making me any money or giving me any return. So why am I doing it? Just stop doing it. You can go through that process quite quickly, and then you're open up to that extra time that you have to do what really works and what produces the results. So you then get to a stage that I feel like I'm at now, where I'm actually doing so much less than I was doing 5 years ago, so less stressed if I am stressed at all. And we have recently, my family has moved regionally. So we are now living out of Sydney and enjoying the lovely lifestyle that brings with it. I am splitting my time between Sydney and regionally. And that is just not something I would have had time for if I hadn't gone through the mastermind and understood what was important to my business, what was actually turning the wheels, as Michelle says, and cutting out that other stuff that's just wasting my time and my energy. So if you feel like you've got, you're busy, and whether it's family or it's business, it's your bricks and mortar business, and you think, I want to do this, but I don't have time, jump in, because Mastermind teaches you how to make the most of your time so that you can achieve that lifestyle that you dream of.
I love what you're saying there, because often we think, to grow my business, I need to work more, and I can't work anymore because I'm already working weekends and I'm saying no to family gatherings and I'm not spending enough time with the kids and I'm missing those coffee dates with my friends, and I just can't do anymore. And the thing is that you likely, as far as your marketing and in your business, probably need to be focusing on less. But what is the less that you can focus on that's still going to keep the wheels turning, but also head the business in the direction that you want and make those numbers in the bank account look better than ever before? It really does take taking stock and putting yourself in the right environment, and helping you figure that out is what Michelle and I are there to do inside the mastermind. And Amanda and the others here have mentioned some of the structures that we have, and I'll talk a little more about them later. But you do want to have the time available to work on the important things in your business, but you're going to know what those important things are. You're going to set those things very early on in the mastermind, so you know what your goals are for those 12 months. And then every quarter, you're going to be working on your project of choice that lines up with that vision. And 4 times a year, we're going to meet as a mastermind group together, either in person or virtually, depending on what's happening in the world, to go deeper on some of the things that are important for you. But then every week we have a weekly check-in so that we know what everyone's doing. Every month we have a Q&A call where we're getting together, staying connected, but also you're getting your questions answered by me and Michelle. And we have a way where, as you heard, late at night, on the weekend, in the morning, wherever, there is 24/7 access to me and Michelle and the other masterminders to get your questions answered right when you need them, right? And that is all part of the structure to keep that momentum going. All righty. Thank you for that, Amanda.
Susie, something you said then that was so interesting. You mentioned the 2-day meetups that we have every 90 days and how that's really that kind of touch point that every 90 days you recheck in and think, am I doing the right things? Because it isn't about doing all the things. It's actually just about knowing the few things to do. And I think every single person that's here has spoken about the idea of repeating things, rinsing and repeating, instead of running around trying to reinvent the wheel every 5 minutes and doing all the new things. Just keep doing what works. And that is a mindset shift for a lot of people in business. Another mindset shift that came up at our last 2-day, and I just wanted to just spend a moment talking about this because it may speak to somebody who's listening now. I felt it was such a deep discussion at the time and everybody resonated with it. And it was a fellow masterminder, Joanna, who raised it initially, that mastermind felt like an essential really for her, but those around her perhaps thought it was a bit of an indulgence and that there was something she felt she had to justify. And sometimes we can feel like that about ourselves, like, oh, spending that kind of money, isn't that just an indulgence? And Amanda, you said something really powerful at that meeting, and I'd just love you to speak to the idea of indulgence and what that actually has meant for you.
Yeah, listening to Joanna say that her family was almost critical of her decision to be part of the mastermind and thinking it was all about her, it made me think about the situation that I'm in now. And I've been part of the mastermind for 5 years. And I've already said at the time, I thought, oh, do I have time for this? Is this an expense my business can carry? But I felt compelled to join because I knew I needed to change my business. And I had this vision about being able to work from anywhere, to be making money while I'm sleeping, not to be tied to the desk in the billable hour. And I said, I'm so glad that I made that decision to indulge and that I took up that indulgence, because if it wasn't for that, then right now we wouldn't be in our nice new home in this beautiful location outside of Sydney where my son can enjoy the space and the lifestyle. And my husband is actually working in his dream job here. That's why we moved, so that he could take up his dream job, all because I indulged in myself 5 years ago.
Love it.
So powerful. And it's this reframing about what actually is important to invest in. And, if we had a multi-million-dollar piece of equipment that we'd bought for our business that was vital to make our business grow and succeed, you can bet your bottom dollar we'd get that thing serviced. We'd be reading the manual. We'd be like making sure that nobody in the team worked it more than 4 hours if it needed a rest and all those things. As the leaders of our business, we are that multi-million-dollar machine. We are that fabulously powerful resource and asset to our business. And we're worth way more than a machine. And so we need to make sure there's time for us to get the input that we need, to get the service, and I often think the 2-day event is like a car kind of going in for its 10,000 kilometer service.
Fine-tuning.
And so I just love that idea. And so if anybody's thinking seems like an indulgence, I think it's a really good reframe what you gave us there, Amanda, because we get to live the life that we want to live. We are allowed to have our own life. We are allowed to, as Susie says, do what you love every day, to have a business you back, like you said, Tasha. And so thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. And Susie, I think we've got one more question for these gorgeous women.
We do. And I just want to say one more thing about the indulgence, because it breaks my heart a little bit to think that whether it's our mastermind or whatever it is that you want in your life, but hopefully it's the mastermind is one of those things, is that just about giving yourself what you want and not feeling like you have to, that you don't deserve it or that it's not for you or it's for those other women who, like if you ever think, who am I to invest that much in myself, then I really want you to think about that, because you are going to be more useful to your business, your family, your friends, the happier you are. And if your business is at a point right now where it's not loving you back, then could the mastermind be something that's going to allow you to really feel juiced up, really excited about your business, starting to see some of the success that you know is just waiting around the corner if you could just figure out this piece of the puzzle that you've been banging your head against a wall for, to get that slotted in and getting moving forward. And it doesn't happen overnight, you know? It happens the first year, then a bit more the second year, then the third year. And then you might think, my gosh, that's a long time. You know, can I just do a quick 6-week course and get this done? Maybe. If you find that course, let us know. But in my experience of having been in masterminds for most of the time I've been in business, it's just part of the expense items, is my commitment to myself and my learning and my education is being part of a mastermind. I'll talk a little more about my mastermind a little later on. So there might be some people watching who are sitting on the fence, not sure about this, maybe a little bit curious. And so I just want to ask each of you, is there anything else about the mastermind experience that you would like to share with us? And I'll start with you, Chantel.
I'm so glad you did, because I got something that I really wanted to add on to what you said. You mentioned about the business loving you back, and something I think particularly a lot of her business members might not know or might not have picked up that I know about you is how passionate you are about I don't know if sometimes people think it's really getting the alignment of what is inside and what you want in your life. And separate to business, I've always been one to think you can do whatever you want. And I really want to bring up our kids that way. And it means that if anyone is thinking, well, I don't want a big business, it doesn't mean that the mastermind's not for you, because the mastermind is not all about chasing big teams or, you know, a large amount of money. It is very much focused about working out exactly what you want and then aligning your strategic objectives to that and your marketing in line with that, because not everybody wants those things. Or even if they think they do, they may be much easier, much less time consuming and costly ways to achieve the same results with half the amount of stress. And I love how you're always reminding us of that. And often there's exercises or parts of the program that really bring us into what do we really want. And you remind us every quarter, even every year, why are we doing this? What's the point? What do we want out of it long term? And I'm so grateful for that. And I think that's the key piece to me that makes this mastermind like no other program that you could ever be a part of.
Thank you, Chantel. I appreciate your words so much. Thank you. Tasha, what about you? If someone's sitting on the fence like you might have been thinking, oh, I don't know, is there anything else about the mastermind that you would like to share?
Well, firstly, that if you ask me my things, I think we've all been there. We've all been on the fence. I mean, these are big decisions. So don't expect that, yes, it's just this is the next step I'm going to take. But I guess, flow on to what Chantel said. I feel like the effects have not just been in my business. They've been in my entire life. And so I do have more time for my kids. I feel like I'm a happier, better person. And everything you do for us has us in mind. And running through, we say we do the 90-day plans and we've got all that structure and all those things are great. And you can Google them and do a framework and do all that. But I find that the gem in that is me distilling it with the other masterminders who will then go, okay, Tash, yeah, this looks really good, but okay, what is this for? And even giving me the love slap, and we've coined that in Mastermind. This thing over here. And I remember I got really excited about this thing. Oh my gosh, this person's really interested in what I'm doing. It's going to be great. And they're like, okay, how does it fit into your strategic objective? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so right. And they're like, yeah, sorry. And it was like, really, we coined the love slap because it was out of love. They're saying, Tasha, no. And I think that's what's so important, that it's not just about fitting more in and getting more hours and getting a bigger business and becoming the CEO and getting more people and more pressure. It's not just about that. It's like, where does this fit into my life? And that's been different for all of us. Everyone, and some of us do want that big shell and the big people under us, and others, no, it's all about getting enough to fuel my growth and my family. So yeah, it's really about the flow-on effects to your entire life and getting that feedback on where you're going so that it really fits in with what you're doing.
I love that. And I love that idea of the love slap, and then there is more love than slap.
I think it was your Amanda that said that. Someone said it and we're like, then we just
Sounds like me.
I think it might have been
sound like you.
like an Amanda thing. But it is about that, going back to people who ask more of you than you do. And the people who are attached enough, like they're not attached to what you want. They just want you to have what you want. Right. So I'm not attached to you having $1 million business or $100,000 business or 10 staff or no staff or be international or not. I just want you to have what you want. Yeah. And so if you say to me and you say to me, Michelle, this is what I want, and then we're seeing you going off with bright, shiny objects, not going after what you want, then I feel like it's our responsibility and our love slap to say, we love you and you said this is what you want. If you don't want that anymore, great, tell us what you want. But if you do want that, then let's get back on the road and how can we help you? So good. Amanda, what about you?
I think it speaks volumes that you have 3 of us here today, and on other occasions you have other masterminders who put up their hand to come here and sing the praises of the mastermind and urge other women business owners to apply, to jump in, to check it out. We pay for Mastermind. We don't get any credit for doing this. But whenever Susie and Michelle say, I can speak for myself, say to me, Amanda, will you come and speak about your experience? I always say yes, absolutely, because I feel that urge to give more and to thank you and to express how much this mastermind has meant to me and the work that Susie and Michelle do with us and the love that they do it with, that any chance I get to acknowledge that and to share that, I want to jump in and share that. And I think anybody out there listening and hearing this, step back and think, these women are doing this for a reason. We're trying to express how important this is, and we want this for you as well. We don't get anything else from doing this. So if you're like me and you have that lawyer brain that thinks things through and perhaps with a bit of cynicism and a critical eye, I think this is excellent evidence that this is the place you need to be.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And, we couldn't be better spokespeople for the program than you, our masterminders. And so in a moment, again, I'm going to let those of you who are watching know how you can join this incredible group of women. And this is just 3 of a couple of dozen women who are in this mastermind who are all equally interesting and doing different things and really going for it. And whether you feel like, I feel like they're a little advanced, or like, I don't know if I'm too advanced, it doesn't matter. It is really about each of us in our own path and staying on that path and expanding that path to whatever it is that is there for us to achieve, to express, to have in our lives. I want to say thank you so much. Michelle, I'm going to let you do the honor of thanking our guests before we let them go and we give our viewers some additional details about the mastermind.
And it does feel like an honor. I got a bit verklempt there in a few moments. Like, just so many times my heart just burst with pride just to have seen your journeys, to know what you've done, like what you've overcome, your grit, your courage, your tenderness for each other, your generosity, and you've just shown it here today. It speaks volumes about who each of you are. And I know I speak on behalf of Susie and the others. We've got some fantastic comments here, people that are really, really appreciating you sharing so genuinely your journey about how you've grown your business and the things that have worked for you. So thank you so very much for joining us. We love you. Love yous all.
We love yous all. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you. Bye. They're awesome. They are so awesome.
Love them.
Very excited. There we go. Let me get the right slide. There we go. There they are. Look at the gorgeous humans. That was the beautiful Chantel Gilbert, Tasha Jennings, and Amanda Farmer, who are part of the Marketing Success Mastermind. And so I do want to take the opportunity to actually, we want to introduce you to a couple of the other masterminders who weren't here today. Why don't we do that, Michelle? And then I'll give you some details if you're ready to apply. All right.
I love that.
Here we go.
I love hearing other people's stories. Like, I just learned so much in business by hearing how people are doing things. Little turns of phrases sometimes can be life-changing. And so we'd love to share a few more stories. So this is the fabulous Bernadette Jansen, and she's actually only been in the mastermind for the last, well, not even her first year yet. And this program called the School Renovating. It is a fantastic program. She herself is a brilliant renovator. And if we go to the next slide, I think we can see some of her claims to fame. She's called on by the press. She's just such an expert in her space. She speaks, she does events. She's got, she's a real influencer and expert. And here's this nut that she was trying to crack. Oh, if we go back to that one more slide there. She has this program called Wonder Women, and it's a higher dollar program. And you can see some of the Wonder Women there that have joined her to learn in depth and get more in-depth coaching from her about how to renovate and really make a living out of renovating properties. And Bernadette was really wanting to crack this nut of how do I get more people into this high-end program? And that was around about the time that she joined the mastermind. And here is what happened next. So we thought it would be fun just for you to see, because, we've heard from a few masterminders right now who've been in the program for, like they said, 3-4 years. So Tasha said she's never leaving. But here's someone who joined us in the last year. And here we thought it'd be fun to just give you a little timeline so we can pull the curtain back a little bit more about what happens inside the program, like at the 2-day events, and how does the Facebook group work? Well, there's no better way to see that than to see it in action. And so we just want to show you this little scenario. If we go to the next slide, here is key moment number 1 that we wanted to share with you. And it was Friday, November 27th last year, was very soon after Bernadette had joined the program. And if we go to the next slide, you can see that's me up in the top right-hand corner, because our 2-day event was virtual in November due to the various lockdown situations that we've all been dealing with. And it was I was teaching on a topic called Sparta, and it's a specific email marketing strategy where you can sell high-dollar products and services with one email, believe it or not. And this is a strategy that I actually learned from somebody in my mastermind that I belong to in the US. And as some of the masterminders shared there, Susie and I are always sharing our strategies, things that we're doing in our own businesses, things we're learning from our colleagues, things that I might have implemented for my clients. So every year I'm doing working on projects, multiple $1 million projects, online courses and launches. And this is something that we were sharing at this 2-day event about the Sparta strategy. So if we go to the next slide, that's Friday, November 27th. Here's key moment number 2. And you can see here, this is Bernadette actually in the room where it happened. If anybody loves Hamilton the musical, there's that song, I want to be in the room where it happens. Well, this is the room where it happens. And there's Bernadette hearing that Sparta strategy. So she put herself in the way of the information that she needed. Now here's key moment number 3. So this is Sunday. So Friday, she's learned the strategy at the 2-day event. Sunday, here's what she did about it. She put it into action. So you can see here, she says, hi, everyone, I've written an email for my Sparta campaign. If we can just click forward, you can see that she wrote the email. So she took action and she sought feedback. She put it into the Facebook group. This is her actual Facebook post. Now, if we go forward one image, here's key moment number 4. And this is on the Monday. So less than 24 hours later, here's a post from me. Hey, Bernadette, I love that you're getting your Sparta up and running. And if we can just click the slide, you can see here that I've given her a video. And this was a multiple minute video where I've gone through the email, given her some suggestions, and she was able to click and watch that video. So that was key moment number 4. She only learned the strategy on the Friday. This is the Monday. And guess what else happened on that same day on the Monday? Yvonne Shepherd, another beautiful masterminder, the generosity of these women, said, hey, I did a Sparta one this last time. I will share with you the email that I used to generate $50,000 with one email. And so she sent that directly to Bernadette. So Bernadette could see what it looked like. She had my feedback. She had the teaching. Now here's key moment number 5. And this is Bernadette thanking everyone for their input. She's read the input. She's seen Yvonne's message. She's got Susie's great input, and she's rewritten her email and she sent it out that morning. So she's taken action. guess what? Already 6 calls booked. Already 6 people had responded using this specific strategy. So guess what happens next? And by the way, she says, I love getting results from the mastermind. So pretty.
And then we're very quick. Like, remember, we're still in a week. This is all still within the week.
Yeah, like she
very, very
quick. On a Friday, she wrote it on a Sunday. She got feedback on the Monday. She's got examples from other masterminders. She sent it out, and she's got 6 calls booked in on the Monday. Now here's key moment number 6. We've fast forwarded a couple of days. We're on the Wednesday now, and she says, I've already accepted one person. She was a standout, and she said everyone wanted to join. So the email she sent out hit all the right notes. Everybody who applied wanted to join. And then if we fast forward to the next key moment, number 7, on the Thursday, so it's not even a week yet, she says, I made $50,000 from that email. And then she says also in this message that I just wanted to point out, she's done 7 calls. She got 5 new members. And the only reason she didn't get the other 2 is because she decided not to accept them. And that's the great thing about this strategy. You can bring people in through this filtration process. And she says, you are my sort of woman, loving, generous, and supportive. So that was just to dimensionalize, Susie, what it looks like inside the group, the kind of support you get. And all of that happened in just 1 week.
Yeah, incredible story. And as you can imagine, Bernadette, as a result, she's not going anywhere. She's a fan. She's doing so many other wonderful things. So that was all in the first week. Then, to give you a sense of what she's doing, then she's on another path now where she's simplifying. She's starting to do more with less. She realized that she doesn't have to do all the things she was doing to fill this boot camp. She can just do these fewer, higher leverage, more advanced marketing strategies and get better results. Alrighty, what about this gorgeous woman here?
Oh, Susie, how much love do we have for her, and how gorgeous is that photograph?
Beautiful.
This is Fiona Keary, who Susie mentioned earlier, and she has a fabulous business called Style Liberation. That's right. And she has a bunch of programs as well. And she does one-to-one work, but she also has a membership. And when she first joined Mastermind, she came because she was doing live events and she was having trouble filling them. And so the very first kind of thing she focused on, the first strategic objective, was to sell out her live events, which she learned how to do. In fact, in the first 2-day event, she sent out an email that morning, and she said to us in the morning, guess what? I've just sold out my event. I've got all of these people filling my program. So then she shifted to online. And she started a membership. She started a hugely popular Facebook group called 35 Plus Where to Shop, fabulous group. She's worked in the mastermind to package her offer, to come up with bonuses and incentives and fast actions and things like that Susie and I and the other masterminders have helped her to really craft this kick butt offer. And she's got this rapidly growing business that is just going gangbusters. And here's something from last year. She shared, she said to Peter Johnston, which is Susie's partner in business and in life, hey, you were right. We just hit 50 new members. Doors closed tonight at 11 p.m. She'd only budgeted for 30, so she really was pretty happy about that. And then she came in a little bit later and said, hey, well, actually, when we closed, we hit 60, which was just so exciting. And you can imagine we were all just cheering her on.
Absolutely.
It was so good, wasn't it? And Susie, I loved this comment that you made, really just thinking about the income and what that meant for Fiona. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I do, because we saw Fiona coming into the mastermind already, great business idea, great business mind, and struggling to fill her events, to then filling her events. But still, she had to do events, and they were in person and they were online, and it was all taking a whole lot of her time. But as Michelle mentioned, she then started to create these online programs, and she created her Super Stylers membership. And now she has this dependable income. She has an income that allows her to now extend her team. It's a business where she can now double down, because like I mentioned earlier, she can now see that she wanted to get to here, but now she sees that high 6-figure, even 7-figure business. And she knows that if she just stays on track, if she keeps doubling down on the wonderful work she's doing and stays really, really focused, then that is what's in store for her. And she said this, she said, my confidence is growing and I know I'm on the right path. I would not be in this place without you, PJ, Michelle, and this group. And so again, she is doing the work, but we are creating the environment where that work really works. And then this is just March. This was just a couple of weeks ago, right, Michelle?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to sort of see the contrast and seeing this growth. So she had a big growth. She made a leap, and now she's on further leaps. And now she actually had a 50% increase in her membership in one promotion. She exceeded her goal, and she's absolutely thrilled. And you can see here again, thanking various people in the mastermind who jumped in at one point when somebody in the group, in Fiona's Facebook group, said, I think this is too expensive. Well, we all jumped in and kind of spelled out why we thought there was so much value in there.
Yeah.
And that's the
and
kind
how
of
she could talk about it confidently. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the kind of hidden support that you don't imagine until you get into the group, into the mastermind, that is going to really be there for you. Now, Yvonne Shepherd is somebody else that we wanted to introduce you to. She's had a mention already a few times here on this live cast, and she runs a business called Women's Fitness Adventures. And just to rattle off a couple of things about her, when she joined the mastermind, she was really fledgling in her business. She had a brilliant idea and lots of her own skills, but needed help, needed support, put herself in that environment right out of the gate, and now has a 7-figure business. And we've seen her make the entire journey. And like Chantel said, some people want a 7-figure business. Some people want to replace their corporate income. Some people want to be able to get enough income to be able to work 4 days a week. Whatever is the right goal for you. As Susie said, we just want you to have what you want. But Yvonne had to do a massive pivot during COVID, because majority of her business came from these wonderful fitness adventures that she did all over Australia and the world, in Italy, and then also in Tasmania, and just amazing things she was doing all over the world. And thankfully, she was in the mastermind. She got a lot of support from everybody in the group to make that pivot. And the pivot was launching an online program, as we saw a lot of people do or need to do in that
Absolutely.
travel and fitness space. And so this is just an example of the, her website and her promise to people to become stronger for life through fitness, adventure, and social connection. So she was in a difficult situation. She was pivoting her business. She started this online membership. And here's an example of a post. She ended her promotion with 111 new members and 69 people on the wait list. So good. And the other really powerful thing is that she has a passion project called Couch to Mountain. And she was able to launch that as part of her membership campaign, all with the help and support of the strategy of the Masterminders. And she's 57% full. She's doing a pilot program, and it's being built to get the feedback she needs so she can create the basis for all of her future courses. So I know in another couple of years, she's going to look back on this Couch to Mountain initial pilot program and see how it was the seed for, this massive part of her business that's just blossoming and growing. And she's been able to get all sorts of questions answered about how to do this and what questions to ask, and even how to get this initial group of people giving her the right feedback, and how does she capture that feedback, and what sort of things can she do. Like just yesterday, I made quite a lengthy video for her on a whole bunch of things I've done with other clients that have got multi-million-dollar programs and best of practice, so she can now bring that back into what she's doing. We love Yvonne.
I know. Well, she's a rock star, and she's a rock star because, again, she does the work. And, she has, she went through such a tough time with having to pivot and really seeing all her revenue, which was prepaid for adventures that she was going to take women on, suddenly she was having to refund everyone. And it was just such a difficult situation. And she was able to get support, again, because this is a marketing mastermind, on how do I position this? How do I handle it? How do I renegotiate terms with suppliers, et cetera, et cetera. But then also to say, okay, I'm going to make this pivot that I've been wanting to make, but now my hand is forced. And then now how do I do that? And leaning in, because there are other people who have Facebook groups, who are doing challenges, who have memberships, who are taking offline businesses online, and being able to use that think tank that is the mastermind to make the best decisions she could, and getting in-depth support. Like Michelle said, she did, a lengthy video training for her. Well, Michelle's done, email reviews and webinar reviews. And I popped in and said, here, this is how you set up a successful Facebook group, or this is how you make the changes in your mastermind, or this is how you get your renewals going. And just really pouring from our own experience into that of the masterminders to support them.
I love it.
Alrighty.
Another gorgeous masterminder. This is Tracy Bode, and she's the founder of a business that's doing incredible things. It's called Zytech, and she provides technology support for people with disabilities. And this was a quote that she gave to us recently. She said, "The best investment I've ever made in my business and me," she's talking about the mastermind, "I've had my biggest year ever since being in the mastermind. I feel the support of this group of inspirational women every day. Together, we are a true mastermind with strong connection, amazing creativity, and exceptional leadership and teaching." And she is such an asset to the mastermind group, Tracy, in all that she brings to the group as well.
Absolutely. So this is something that she did just recently, because again, like, she's an e-commerce merchant. She specializes in working with people with disabilities, but she's trying some different things that are, again, her competitors just aren't doing these things, Michelle.
Absolutely. And what that means is when you can zig when everyone else is zagging with a strategy that's proven and tested, then you reap the rewards. And that's exactly what happened here for Tracy. So she has a Talking Mats product, and using strategies that she's learned in the mastermind, she was able to sell out in 6 hours. And she actually had to turn the campaign off from bed. Like, she'd gone to bed, then realized she'd sold out and had to change the the landing page. And again, what we've taught in the mastermind, you want to put up that sold out sign, and then you want to tell everybody that you've sold out, and you want to use that for the next time, because when people know that your campaigns sell out, they're going to take more action sooner. They're going to go, wow, there's a lot of social proof in that idea that this is sold out. And she says, so, hey, I'm putting into practice the mastermind best practice there, making the most of the sold out. So not only did she know to put the sold out up, she knew to take screenshots, she knew to email people, she knew to put up a wait list, she knew all the things to do next. And that's the beauty of being in the mastermind.
And she'd seen that just recently with Tasha, who was on earlier, who, when she launched her first online program, sold out. And so she's, oh my gosh, it's sold out. And then we gave her some coaching about what to do. Let people know it's sold out. Start taking a wait list. Make sure people know it's sold out. Next time you promote it, make sure you let people know they've got to get in quick. And so that was what Tracy, wasn't relevant for her at the time. She didn't have a course, but then now she's doing something where she can use that very same strategy that she learned by watching someone else in the mastermind. Very, very, very cool. Very much a mastermind. And if you're not sure what a mastermind is, it is that mastermind. It's a collective of minds. I want to say something else. So we could talk all day about these women, and we've met probably, between the stories we told and the guests we had on earlier, you've probably met about 7, and just know there's another about 20 women who you don't know their stories and you don't know how incredible they are, but they're inside the mastermind doing incredible things as well. But just in the interest of time, we invited these women on, like Amanda said, they were honored to come on and speak about it because they're getting so much value. So the thing for you to know right now, and I've mentioned already a couple of times that the mastermind is open, is that there's 2 options for you. You can go it alone. You can take some of the strategies that you learned here from the How I Grew My Business Livecast and go ahead and implement what you can in your business. Or you can consider joining the Marketing Success Mastermind. The women are incredible. The program is incredible. And that seems really shallow, just saying incredible, but it's like so hard to understand unless you've been in a mastermind. And I've been in many, many masterminds. And so I will talk about my mastermind in just a moment. But the Marketing Success Mastermind is a program that for the last 5 years has had women who started 5 years ago who are still part of the mastermind because they're getting so much value. Here's what you'll get. You will get clarity and focus. You will get that day-to-day support. You will be part of a very exclusive. You heard the numbers. It's not a huge 1,000-person course. It's a very intimate group of like-minded women. You will no longer feel like you're having to do this on your own, and you will have the confidence to play a bigger game in your business. Whatever that game is for you, as Michelle said, it's very individual. It's whatever your goals are. And you are extending your network, but not randomly, because your connections really count. But this is making connection with women who are going places, who are really going for it, who are playing a bigger game. You also get the accountability. So whether it's in our Friday check-ins, or whether it's our monthly Q&A calls or our quarterly catch-ups or just inside of the group, when you say you are doing something and you want that accountability, it is right there for you. But there's also time to get things done. Like Amanda said earlier, we can be busy all day long into the nights over the weekends, but this is about really taking the time to get the right things done. But if you don't know what those right things are, you can be scattergun all over the place with your energy and your time. You're also going to get the guidance from me and Michelle to do the things that you don't yet know how to do. Right? Because this is what we're doing every single day. Michelle is working with high-level clients. I'm practicing these strategies right inside of my own business and helping her business members with it on the level that I can. But inside the mastermind is where we really go deep and we really focus on marketing. And it's about avoiding costly mistakes. And that mistake, I remember one of our masterminders saying that she was just about to pay $20,000 to a marketing consultant to create one marketing funnel for her. And then she thought, I could have a whole year of mentoring and coaching and support for less than that by joining the mastermind. And that's exactly what she did. And for 3 years, she was part of the mastermind. But here's what happens. And this is what happens anytime we sort of get a glimpse of the future that's possible for us. And then we start to doubt ourselves. Then we start to second guess. Then we want to get approval from someone else. Then we think, am I good enough? Am I big enough? Am I experienced enough? And what this is called is the resistance. And this is a term that was coined by an author named Stephen Pressfield. He's incredible. He talks about the resistance being this thing that happens. It's the voice on your shoulder when you are here and you want to go there. And I hope you can see my hands there in the picture. And it's the very same thing that not only we feel as business owners, but Academy Award winning stars, people like Jodie Foster feel this resistance when you're up for another award or you're about to break through a milestone. Perhaps now you're earning more, or you see the possibility to earn more than your partner or earn more than anyone in your family ever has, or to grow a business bigger than your sisters, right? Whatever those things are, we see this resistance and it sits on our shoulder. And so what you want to do is you want to notice it, because the resistance keeps coming up. For many, many years, over 20 years, we inducted women into our Hall of Fame. And the resistance was something that sat on their shoulder, even as they created groundbreaking marketing, went international, developed new technologies, hit markets that they'd never done before. So just know that this is it. But when it happens, we can have this crisis in confidence. And so we want to be surrounded by people who will help us notice that and move on. Now, before I explain the price, here's what I want you to know we've included, because we do include as much as we can to make this such a good value for you. Firstly, we make sure that you're ready. And so there's these masterminders who've been together anywhere from 1 year to 5 years, and you're coming in new. So we want to make sure that you hit the ground running. So you get an induction training program where we bring you up to speed on all the core strategies and the foundation moves, as we call them, that you're going to want to know as you move inside of the mastermind. Now, if you're a regular listener of the Content Sells podcast, some of the language and strategies are going to be familiar to you. But even if you're not, we have a way to fast track it so that when you get there, when you're in the group, you are right up to speed. The other thing we do very early on is we have a strategy session with you. And we have 2 of these one-on-one sessions, you, me, and Michelle, just working on your strategy. We do that twice a year. And they are big markers where you develop the strategy and based on what your vision is, and then that's what you're held accountable to, and that's what you can focus on. And we've helped women on anything from unlocking their strategy for the next campaign, to redesigning their revenue streams, to creating a new business model, to bringing in a new senior team member, whatever. Those strategy sessions are for you. But we keep them about strategy. So they're not tactical, they're really about strategy, because this is a program for women who want to grow in leaps and bounds. So we do all the tactics and they're all available to you. Michelle will do you a video on what the tactic is for this, that, or the other thing. But when we're talking strategy, we bring it up a level, and these conversations often start right inside of those sessions. In fact, I think someone who was on earlier mentioned their strategy sessions. They really unlock what's next for you. The other thing we bonus in is membership to the HerBusiness Network. Now, this is our wonderful community. Oh, there's Tasha in the bottom right-hand corner. There's Amanda. So all the benefits of membership. So that means you've got a wider community to be a sounding board, to access to additional training, to accountability groups, and our popular book club, and all the other benefits. Now, if you're already a member of HerBusiness, that's fine. You just stop paying for your membership, and you get your membership included for the whole year. So That is a bonus value of the membership and all that's included in our library of over 200 trainings. That's over $13,000. This is a $2,000 induction program, and then there's the strategy sessions. So how much is this mastermind, you might be asking? So here's the other side of it. It is trying to figure things out on your own, right? Going to a marketing consultant, paying for a Facebook agency that's going to run ads without knowing your strategy, without really understanding your ideal client, without knowing what your big strategic objectives are for the year. And it can be very expensive. And I myself have blown thousands of dollars donating to Zuckerberg before, I got really strategic around what I was doing with my marketing. And so it can be very, very expensive, but it also pains me to think about you going alone without the support, knowing that that support is available for you. The other thing that is a challenge is that some people say, well, Michelle sounds like an amazing marketer, and she truly is. Couldn't I just get consulting with her? Well, the answer is no. She doesn't have any vacancies. She works with big international clients that have her appointment book fully booked out for months and years in advance. And her other commitment, other than the high-level clients she already has, is the mastermind. That's where you get access to her expertise. That's where you get her incredible input, using all the experience she has working with some of the world's leading, most successful online marketers. She brings that right into the mastermind. And for me, here I am, but I don't do consulting and I don't do one-on-ones. I just do not have the capacity to do all that between the work that I'm doing supporting our members and the commitment that I have that goes into my calendar first every single year is making sure that I'm available for the masterminders. So those two options, unfortunately, of one-on-ones are not available. But what is available is the mastermind program. And so I want you to think about what it's costing you to not have the support you need right now. So you heard Bernadette, $50,000 with one email in 1 week. Now, Bernadette's not some random person. She already had a business. She's already getting some traction, probably like you are. She already has products and services people love, but she didn't know how to do less and get more. And that's the strategy she took away, and within a week brought in $50,000. And you heard about Yvonne. Now, Yvonne grew in the last month, grew her membership by 28% and her email list by 28%. Now, these are big numbers on big numbers. And Fiona went from half full events to having an income that now supports the future that she wants for her family, with her doing less, with her being able to bring new staff members on. So what is the cost of not getting the support that you need and creating marketing that works for you when you're not working, when you're not sitting across the table, when you're not one-on-one, we're not working into the night while the kids are in bed? So I mentioned that I wanted to talk about our masterminds, and I have been in some type of mastermind from very, very early on in my business, because I took on board that advice from my business partner at the time and my mentor, Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, who said, surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, surround yourself with people who ask more of you than you do. And so my mastermind is the pillar that I attach myself to grow my business. Now, our mastermind, unlike the HerBusiness Mastermind, is based out of Canada and North America. So up until COVID, I would travel to Canada 3 times a year, hotel, accommodation, time away from family, time away from the business. Now, with COVID, I'm not traveling, but I'm still committed to this same mastermind, because they're the people where I can go with my strategy and my big ideas, and they will say, great, how does that fit into your strategic objectives? Yep, I did that. This is how you can do it. And whether they're making a training video for me, or they're sharing their templates, or they're inviting me to speak to their audience so I can generate more leads, they are there for me and they have my back. And they are a source of inspiration and knowledge, and a trusted source at that. And so they are, so mastermind isn't just something we do. It's something that Michelle and I really believe in. And I know, Michelle, you've been part of your mastermind for a number of years now. Did you want to say a few words about them?
Yes, so there are 2 mastermind groups that you can see on the screen there that I've been part of. The one on the left I have been part of for many years. It's based in the US. It's specifically for people who do online marketing. And so every single person in that group is a rock star, and some of them you might recognize as people that are leaders in their space. And I was thinking as you were talking then, Susie, I feel like, well, firstly, we're putting our money where our mouth is. Like we believe how powerful a mastermind is, and we're paying somebody else to be in a mastermind because we know what we get out of it as well. So there's that expression where taking our own medication, our own recommendation, But what's really powerful, I think, is this: if information was all that we needed to succeed, all of us would be successful based on any online course that we've taken or any piece of information that we read on Google. But that's not all you need. Yes, you need the information to know strategy, like the Sparta strategy, for example, that we gave before with Bernadette. But you need this other piece, and it's that container, those people who will support you, who will give you confidence, those people you can learn from just by seeing them do it. So, Amanda said she felt confident to do the webinar because she'd seen Chantel do the webinar. And there's this kind of really virtuous kind of momentum that builds inside a mastermind group when you see other people, your peers, doing things and succeeding. And so for the mastermind groups that I'm in that ecosystem where somebody's done $1 million, where somebody's done a $5 million, where somebody's created an event, where somebody's pivoted from this to that. And so I know it's possible. And that is not quantifiable. And they give me the information to share the strategies and the tactics, but there's this secret sauce that is like the fuel. It is the rocket fuel. And I feel it in my mastermind, and I know it's present in the HerBusiness Mastermind as well. And speaking of which, we bring some of these brilliant people into and give access to our masterminders as well. Lots of great people.
We do. We do. I thought I had a slide with them on it, but I don't. So do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, look, I mean, as Susie said before, we've got about 45 years combined experience in business, and that means we've made a few good connections. We have got relationships with people who want to support us and be there for us because we ask them to, and we're often being there and supporting their communities as well. And so when we say, hey, Victoria Labalm, best-selling author, would you come and speak to our mastermind group? Or, hey, Barry Baumgartner, leading virtual events and live events expert who does events for Tony Robbins and Jeff Walker and anybody who's anybody out there for tens of thousands of people generating multiple millions of dollars. Will you come and talk to our masterminders about how to run a virtual event? They say, we'd love to. And they come along and bring their A game. We just recently had Marisa Murgatroyd, who is a fantastic online marketer and expert in online courses. And she came and spoke on how to run a challenge. Now, she's been running these hugely successful challenges that result in multiple $1 million sales. So because she knows us, because she's doing it as a favor to us, she comes in and she doesn't give the regular presentation. She pulls back the curtain and shows, here's my behind the scenes Google Doc. Here's how I laid the challenge out. Here are the specific steps that I took. Here are the emails that I used. Here's the copy that I used. Here's how I thought about it so it would set up the thing that I was selling. And she just shared all of that brilliance. And of course, we've got some masterminders right now doing challenges. So you can only imagine how valuable that is.
Oh, and challenges are such a wonderful way to generate leads and give people an idea of what you're about before you then make your offer. And we're seeing members across all sorts of industries doing these challenges. So yes, we totally bring, people from our masterminds to the mastermind as guest speakers, because when you're part of a mastermind, you extend your network, not just to the people in the mastermind, but to the people that those people know. And that includes the right suppliers, the right strategic alliances, the right collaborators, and even clients. They give each other business, the masterminders. They refer each other for business as well. All right. So what is the investment? We already know there's a time investment and there's a brain space investment, but there is also a financial investment. And so I want to let you know what's included. So once again, there's the 12 months access to me and Michelle. There are the 4 2-day meetings, and they are in person, but right now they're being done online. And we've been running online events since 2006. So our online events are exceptional. And if you've ever been on one, you'll know what I mean. We have our monthly Q&A calls where we do get to check in and we do get to go deeper into some of your questions. And then we have 24/7 online portal where you can ask questions all day, every day of me and Michelle or of anyone in the mastermind. And we also, that's where we'll find resources, or, we'll have seen a video, or we did a training and we'll bring a snippet. It's such a rich resource. So calling it a Facebook group is kind of diminishing the value of it. It is really like the hub that is your day-to-day access to aspects of the mastermind. And then there's, of course, the strategic alliances and the connections, which you cannot put a price on. And all the bonuses that I mentioned earlier, which total $22,000. So that's a total of $60,325 in value. But access to the mastermind is not going to cost you that. Although if I convert what my mastermind cost me in American dollars, it could be a little more like that. But that's not what you're going to pay. It's just a fraction of that. It's actually just $1,497 a month. $1,497 a month, and you can save $1,497 when you pay annually. Okay, so it's $1,497 a month, which is just, again, we've made it as affordable as we can. All you need to do is head on over to HerBusinessMastermind.com to fill out your application. And as I mentioned earlier, we just have a couple of places available. And on Sunday night, the doors to the early bird pricing, which I've just mentioned, the $1,497 closes. And then if there are any spaces available at that point, then the price goes up to $1,997. Now, there's just one catch, and that is that there are limited places available. As I mentioned earlier, we have had a number of people apply. Michelle and I are doing interviews tomorrow and on Tuesday. And so there are some still interview places available. So if you do want to nab one of those, you do want to get your application in right now. And you do need to apply by Sunday. You don't have to pay anything before then, but you do need to apply by Sunday in order to lock in your early bird pricing. Right. And if you get to the interview with me and Michelle and it turns out that you're not going to move ahead, then great. But if you are going to move ahead, then we can talk about payment terms and whether you want to pay annually and save a month's tuition or whether you want to pay by the month. But either way, it's a 12-month commitment. And as you heard the women say earlier, people just tend to stay on and on. That's why we have so few places available so seldom, because women do like to stay, and we like to keep a cap on the numbers. We are not growing the group quickly because it's such a protected ecosystem, and we want to be able to give it as much as we can. Now, it does come with a money back guarantee, just like most of the things that we do here at Her Business, probably everything we do here at Her Business. So that means if you join the mastermind and 30 days in, you think, I don't think this is right for me, then we just give you your money back. Whether you've paid a month's tuition or a year's tuition, you get your money back. It's an amazing group of women. You got to meet some of them here today. As I said, there's as many, 3 times as many in the group waiting to meet you. And they know that we are opening the doors for a few. They're willing to get on and speak about their experience. And they know that we will always protect the group by making sure that we are bringing into the group women who also want to go for it, women who want to be part of this community, women who understand that it's not a silver bullet and that they do need to do the work, but that doing the work with others and making progress is so much more fun than trying to figure it out on your own. So once again, what you want to do is head on over to HerBusinessMastermind.com and fill in your application form. It'll take you about 10 minutes, and then you'll see a calendar. You'll get to pick a date and time for your interview with me and Michelle, and we can take it from there. Now, if you are watching and you've been watching the whole time and you are sitting on the fence, then do go ahead and let me know, just hearing questions, why you're sitting on the fence. Just hearing comments, go ahead and add why you're sitting on the fence. And even though we're going to wrap up in just a moment, I do want you to know that if you respond, I will definitely get back to you. So
Susie,
let me know if you've got any questions. Yep.
Can be, I am sitting on the fence because, and maybe just think about that question. What comes after the because? I'm sitting on the fence because I'm worried about X or Y, or I don't know if I have the time or whatever it is. So just really try and get clear on what that is and just pop it there into the comments, and we can certainly have a chat to you about that. But really interested to know, why might you be sitting on the fence? And I can see the prompt has just gone in there. I am sitting on the fence because, and watch out for your comments.
Great. So there are some questions that people typically ask that are kind of sitting on the fence questions. And so here they are. One is, what is the deadline to get in? So as I mentioned, Sunday night is the deadline if you want to get in on the $1,497 price, which is the early bird pricing. And after that, it goes up to $1,997. If I don't join now, can I join later? We open the doors twice a year. But my question is, what is behind that question? Can I join later? Is it fear? Is there a question that you need answered? What is it that we can answer for you? So yes, you could. You're just going to be 6 months down the track of getting started and really starting to build momentum. So when there are places available, we open up, and when there are no places available, we don't open up. And we're not opening up the doors right now because people have left. We've opened up the doors because we now have the capacity. We have more people who are bedded down, who've been there long enough and have the momentum that we can allow a few more people in, because people do tend to stay well beyond their initial 12-month period. Is this program for me? Maybe your question is, I'm sitting on the fence because I don't know if this program is for me. Fill out the application form. Even if you're just curious, fill out the application form. It'll ask you a few questions that will sort of prompt you to think about your marketing and think about where you are in your business right now and where you want to be even 12 months from now. And then let's have the conversation. And it'll be very obvious within our conversation whether it is a good step for you or it's not, or it's a good step for you, but later. And we'll be very honest in telling you if it's not the right place, right time, right now, because we want you to win. We want you to be successful. We are not interested in having people in the program that are not ready for the program, or for whom the program is not a great fit, or who are looking for something that we can't satisfy with our expertise. That's kind of the questions we get typically asked. I'm going to look out for comments a little later on. And if you are on here and you can't get in touch, like I can't get in touch with you because perhaps you've just stumbled upon this on a Facebook Live or something, then do just contact our office. So just go to HerBusinessMastermind.com. There's a live chat there and you can ask your question and I'll get back to you. All righty. So once again,
we had a couple of comments from people as well, Susie.
Have we?
That we might want to share. Yeah, Melanie Greenhay says, "Thanks for having me. Really appreciated the sharing."
Great. Yes. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you so much for watching. And if you've got any questions, please let me know. I'm glad it was really useful. I thought the masterminders, again, were just so confident, and that confidence comes from taking action and getting results. And I think that's what we saw here today. And thank you so much for your comment. And Jackie, yes, I mentioned that one earlier. You might have been when you were offline. Has also really enjoyed the live cast and said thank you for sharing your real journeys. And these are real women. This is the thing. There's nothing extraordinary or special about the women that you met here today or anyone in the mastermind. They're women growing and scaling a business. And after 25 years of supporting women business owners, tens of thousands of them, I know what makes the difference between the women who are getting results and the women who are not. And it's having the focus and clarity and doing the work, right? Knowing where you're going, having the direction, being willing to ask for support and get the mentoring, and then doing the work, like implementing what it is that you're learning. And so that's all available for you inside the Her Business Mastermind. I've given you all the details. I have nothing more to say. Michelle, is anything you'd like to say before we go?
What I feel to say, it's a 12-month commitment. And so you've been hearing from people who are in the group for 3 years, 4 years, and so on, and some people that never leave or that were there from the beginning and are still there.
And some people who say, you can't get rid of me, don't even try.
But really what you're committing to is 12 months. And so, look, you might decide to stay in the group, you might not, but the initial commitment is 12 months. So if you're thinking, I don't know if I want to be in this group for 5 years, that's not what we're asking you to do right now. We're asking you to look at the next 12 months and the trajectory that you are on, and to say, you know what, I do want the support. I do need the focus and the clarity. This is my time. This is my moment. And I want to get out of the overwhelm. I want to get into the result. I want my business to love me back. I want to get out of the red into the black. I want to get out of working late at night into getting some time off and being the CEO of my business. I want to take the pressure down, but take the impact up. And so if any of those things are resonating with you right now, it's just this first commitment of the first year. You can, after 30 days, you can leave. After the first year, you can leave. But get yourself in there. Be in the room where it happens, because you're going to put yourself in the way of great women. You're going to put yourself in the way of great ideas. You're going to put yourself in the way of strategies and tactics you will not see outside of this room. I can almost guarantee it. So if you want to be in the room where it happens, if this is the moment for you, it's just this first 12 months that you need to think about. Let the rest take care of itself. But it's making that commitment right now to get something different to what you've had before, to make that leap, to take that risk forward that Chantal was talking about, to just see, is this exactly what I've been looking for? Or is this what I didn't know that I needed until right at this very moment? So if any of those things are going through your mind, if you're curious, if you've just got an inkling that this is crazy, but I think this is exactly what I'm looking for, go ahead and apply at HerBusinessMastermind.com. Like Susie said, it's not a sales call. It's truly a conversation to make sure this program is right for you, that you're right for this program, and not the right time. We'll be giving you ideas. We'll give you our best suggestions about what you can be doing now that prepares you for the mastermind in the future. So go ahead and apply. That would be what I say. It's absolutely my passion, this program. I know it's Susie's passion. It is the first thing we put into our calendar every year. It is the thing that I'm looking at on a daily basis. These are the women that I'm thinking about when I'm driving and thinking, hey, that would be a great strategy for so-and-so. These are the people I'm sharing the stuff with that I'm learning in my multi-million-dollar clients. These are the people that Susie's bringing back her brilliant ideas from her mastermind to, and all the brilliance that you've seen her do in other parts of her business. And if we look like people, we look like the mentor you, back yourself and apply.
Thank you, Michelle. We would love to see you inside the mastermind. You've got the URL. It'll be right here on the page when you're ready, but you do want to get in before Sunday night. So I will be looking out for you. Here's Amanda. Thank you for sharing about the mastermind today, Susie and Michelle, and Mastermind Ladies. Ever grateful I joined Her Business surrounded by such amazing women. Thank you so much, Amanda. And thank you for tuning in. We would love to see your application come through and to spend some time deciding with you if this is the right program for you. And thanks for tuning in. Thank you to our masterminders. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Chantel. Thank you, Tasha. And thank you to you for watching. You're awesome. And remember, that next leap, that opportunity for you is there for the taking. So if the thing that's standing between you and your next level in business is fear or reservation, then I'm going to really encourage you to really back yourself. The words that Michelle just used, really back yourself and go for it. You're awesome. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.